Hi everyone. Okay, so I hope you guys are having a good morning. And today I would like to have a short session regarding the procedure and what exactly are the requirements for opening a non-resident bank account. So, as we all know, Dubai is one of the biggest hubs for property, investment, real estate, whether that's commercial or residential. So, there is a lot of influx of people who are coming in and going out every single year in order to search for better opportunities, and a lot of people coming into the UAE as well who would like to have bank accounts even without the residence visa since they don't see the need for it. So one of the most important things to understand is that the UAE's banking system is quite complicated and it's not extremely easy as in other countries in the GCC or the MENA region. So the main reason that the UAE's banking system is so complicated is because there are a lot of litigation and a lot of compliance requirements that we need to satisfy. So when a non-resident person, someone who lives not in the UAE but elsewhere, comes and says, "Oh, I want to open a bank account for XYZ reason," the main question that the bank will be asking you is, why exactly do you need this account? So I think that's one of the main problems that a lot of the investors in real estate face, especially because obviously, if you're coming into the country, you need to move funds in order to buy the property or in order to lease out the property. Then you're definitely going to have some sort of banking instrument or banking facility in the country of your property. So I would say that I personally have a lot of clients who are looking to open the non-resident bank account. So, oh, I'm sorry, but let me just introduce myself. So, my name is Nooren Khan, and I'm an assistant team leader here at Dhanguard. I've been with Dhanguard for a little over a year, and I handle a lot of the banking section. So, like I mentioned, the main question is why exactly would you need to open a non-resident bank account? So I think a lot of people understand that this is not very easy, right? So we also need to be very careful regarding what exactly is the reason. And secondly, you also need to have a valid justification for the transactions that are going in and out of your bank account. So we have a question, and the question is basically asking what are the justifiable reasons in order to having the bank account. So I would say that some of the justifiable reasons which the bank may accept include mainly property. So if, let's say, for example, XYZ investor wants to come into the UAE and wants to buy a property, now, this person is not going to be living in the UAE. So this property is actually a form of investment. They want to invest in the real estate market in the UAE, which is at present in quite a boom. So if this person comes down to the UAE and wants to invest, he buys the property, and one of the easiest things for him to do would be to lease out the property to a third party. So the third party comes in, he finds a suitable renter, leaser, whatever you want to call it, and they start living in the unit. The main question that arises is how exactly is this person going to pay rent? Right? That's the main question. Like, how am I, as an investor, supposed to receive the rent from my lessor? So this is where we can assist with the non-resident bank account opening. This is, I would say, one of the best case scenarios where you would like to open a non-resident bank account. And the main thing is that if this is what you're looking for, if you want to receive a certain amount into your bank account every month, or the lessor is going to deposit a check every 3 months or 6 months, whatever terms you're working on, this is a justifiable reason for the bank. So this is something that we can definitely work on and explain to the banks that this is exactly why so and so investor wants to start the bank account in UAE. And the best part is that you actually don't need to worry about what funds are there and what funds are not, because essentially the lessor is going to be depositing the check or is going to be making timely payments. So there is money which is going to be going in and out. It's going to be an active rotation of money in the bank itself. So this is quite beneficial to banks as well. All right. So again, I would just like to go over very shortly the documentation that we need, and I will also explain in detail what exactly it is that banks look for in the specific documents as well. So number one is passport copy. So the passport is one of the most important documents because that is your basic KYC. And when I say KYC, I mean because you will no longer have a visa, a residence visa, or an Emirates ID, this is going to act as your identification document. So having a valid passport is very, very necessary. And the passport should be valid for a minimum period of 6 months from the date of application in order to make sure that it's a smooth process. After the passport copy, we also need a copy of the entry stamp on your passport. Now, a lot of people on our social media, on even in face-to-face consultations and meetings, they ask like, do I need to be in the UAE to open the bank account? There are two things to this. Not only do you have to be in the UAE to open a bank account, you also need to have previously visited the UAE to open the bank account. Because again, we are trying to establish a relationship which is strongly connected to the UAE. So if, let's say, for example, you have previously visited the UAE, it is going to showcase that yes, you have been there, you have a know-how of the UAE, you have visited, whether that's for leisure or business purposes, doesn't matter. And obviously, the main important thing is that all of the signatures, everything that is done, will be taken at the bank premises. So this is again one of the most important things. Yes, you need to be in the UAE to open any bank account. There are a lot of things in the market which promise you remote signing, etc., etc., which is not a possibility at all. Banks in the UAE are quite strict that the relationship officer or relationship manager needs to meet the client in person, needs to verify the signatures, and also the assigned manager needs to also verify the signatures in order to get the case going. So this is one of the important documents, the entry stamp. Which should be on your passport as well. Now, the third, and I would say by far the most tricky and the most important document is the bank statement. So a lot of clients ask, oh, I have bank statements, but I'm not using that account much. Or I have bank statements, but there's not much balance there. Or I have a bank statement, but it's not active, like I haven't used it in 1 year. But you need to also understand that these are not justifiable reasons to the bank. The bank wants to see that you are a legitimate and credible individual who would be able to operate a bank account and keep it active, keep the money facilitating. So the bank statement is the most important, and this is where the banks get a lot of their information from. So there are two main things that we see in the bank statement. I would say the first thing is your source of fund. How exactly is the person getting the money to buy the property, or how exactly is the person getting the money to move here to the UAE or continue business here in the UAE? I would say this is by far the trickiest part, and that's exactly why we as consultants are here to assist. So bank statements and what it shows is up to the bank. However, what we need to be clear on is if whether you are a salaried person or if you are having a business in your home country or your country of residence at present. So obviously there are only two scenarios as to what exactly the person can be doing before they take the leap of faith to open a new bank account or to open a new business. And this is that they are receiving a salary, they are employed, and they are working for a wage. However, if this is not the case, we cannot see your salary on the bank statement. we need to check to see if you are owning an alternate business. In this case, if you are owning an alternate business, then we need to see your business bank statement and your business license. The license needs to be from the country of registration, which is XYZ, your home country, your country of residence, whatever it is, wherever the basis of the company is. And it must be valid and it must showcase your name as a shareholder. And also, we will be needing the consequent bank statements for the same business, showcasing that yes, there is an existing bank account, this is my source of fund, this is where I will be getting the money from. So to clarify, these two things is the most important, I would say, to the bank. After this, regarding the proof of residence. So obviously, since you're not a resident of the UAE, you will not be having any proof of residence here. You will not be living here, you will not be having utility bills, you will not have a tenancy contract or rental contract. So the utility bill will come from the country of residence. Whichever that is, we will need the utility bill, and we will also need the rental contract or the ownership document of the property which you will be living in. So just to cut it short, I have a question that says, can I open a non-resident bank account remotely? No. Like I just mentioned, it's not a possibility to open a non-resident bank account remotely, unfortunately. And to elaborate on this, I would say I understand completely that, people who want to open the bank account, they are short on time. They don't have much time, and coming to the UAE just to open the bank account can also be a little harsh on your wallet. So I understand on that perspective. However, the thing is that in order to reduce the misuse of signatures, the forgery of documents, to reduce the misuse of any sort of individual's identity, it is compulsory that I or any of my team or any other consultant you're in touch with accompany you to the bank in front of the relationship officer and relationship manager in order to take the signatures properly. So this also kind of gives you a sort of ease because you are sure that your company is going to be in good hands, first of all. And secondly, the thing is that it will be processed much faster. So you go to the bank, you're kind of cutting off the documentation time. If you are doing it remotely, there is a lot of back and forth. There might be things missing. There might be signatures which are in the wrong place. There might be signatures which are not matching. Obviously, we're human. We can have different signatures at different times. So this is, I would say, one of the most important things to make sure that you establish it, that it needs to be done in person in the UAE. So another question is there any minimum deposit requirement for non-resident accounts? This is kind of a tricky question to answer. I will be honest with you. And the main reason for this is because there are certain requirements to open the non-resident bank account. Sometimes in some banks, the eligibility criteria is different. First of all, it varies hugely. Some nationalities cannot even open non-resident bank accounts. Some nationalities can open it very easily. And the main issue over here is that every bank has a different criteria. So there are some banks which take fixed deposits against the account. You can run this fixed deposit for up to a year. You will get your return on it, on the interest rate. And you will be able to get the account quite easily. If you're able to maintain a certain amount, it's going to be great. We're talking about upwards of 25,000 dirhams to 50,000 dirhams at least to make sure that the bank sees you as a credible individual. The main thing is that you need to give a reason, I would say, for the bank to open your account because obviously banks are also beneficiaries. So if you are able to keep a minimum deposit or if you're able to keep a good balance in the account, they would be more likely to open the account and open it quite quickly, actually. So again, Back to the documentation, the utility bills and the residential contracts will be the same from your country of residence, and any pay slips and the bank statements of the company account, like I mentioned, if that's your source of funds. So the pay slips will need to be attested by the company of your employer, um, by the company that you are working in, sorry. And it will need to be on an official letterhead, and it will need to show the breakdown as well of your salary, because unlike UAE, a lot of the countries, some countries are being paid on a weekly basis, some countries are paying their employees on just a commission basis. So all of this needs to be clearly visible in the documentation to ensure that no confusion takes place, basically. If you guys have any questions, you can ask. Even if it's in regards to banking in the UAE in general, doesn't need to be on the topic itself. Okay, so another question is, need to have a business in UAE for the bank account. Now, this is kind of another, not tricky, but it's important to clarify on this. So needing to have a business is a separate need. Right now, what we're talking about is opening a bank account as a non-resident who has nothing in the UAE. No license, no business, no visa, nothing. Someone who is looking to start a business in the UAE but does not have the business license as of yet, someone who is looking to invest in the real estate market or invest in any other instrument in the UAE can also avail the non-resident bank account. So it's not necessary to have a business to have a bank account. However, if you are from a high-risk country or obviously a sanctioned country, I would not go as far as to say that. But definitely for high-risk countries, I would highly suggest that you first avail a business license and then start your business operations in order to have the bank account. So it's much easier to do it that way than to give the bank a reason to doubt you or to create any suspicion. So it's not necessary to have a business bank account. It's not necessary to have a business license. But again, this may vary, terms and conditions apply. So yes, if you have any questions, I am open to them. Anything regarding banking in general, even if you have any questions regarding um, any issues that you're facing with the banking system in the UAE, or anything that you have been curious about, you can definitely go ahead and ask. Again, something I would like to note for the non-resident bank account is that not all banks in the UAE facilitate non-resident bank accounts. So this is very much on approval basis. Fortunately and unfortunately, I always tell this to my clients that all banks in the UAE work on a singular basis. There is no bank which is above the other. There is no bank which is better than the other. It is almost the same, and this is mainly because the central bank governs all of the banks in the UAE. So there is a centralized system for everything. We have the ACD report. We have the facilitation, we have everything. The documentation is the same. It's just that the maintenance criteria for the accounts is different. Okay, so the question is it mandatory to have residency of UAE to open bank accounts? No, it is not mandatory actually to have the residency of UAE to open a bank account. Our topic for today is a non-resident bank account. So like I mentioned, if you have just joined this live, it is very much doable. It is very, very possible to have a bank account without opening a business or without having a residency visa. It's not necessary to have the bank account specifically just because you need to wait for the visa or anything. You can do it without the visa as well, and that's what we have been going through. So it's just that we need a few documents. Again, I will mention the documents. It's the passport copy, which needs to be valid for 6 months from the date of application. Your entry stamp into the UAE. It's not possible, unfortunately, to do this process remotely. We need to have you in person in the UAE at the bank, specifically to take the signatures, to make sure that we don't miss anything and that we have all of the information needed. Well, one thing I would like to mention is that you can travel after the signatures are done. We don't need your presence here in the UAE, apart from for the signatures. So we just need you here for the signatures. You can travel the same day, same night. You can be out of the UAE and you can get on with your work, your trip, whatever it is. And the bank account will be open. While you're not in the country, you will receive all details of the banking facilities, of your debit card, of your online banking into your email. So you don't need to keep visiting here again and again. Okay, so another question is, how long does it take to start and finish all of the process? This is another good question. Thank you. So I would say that to start the process, it's very easy. You contact us on our social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on our website even, and our contact numbers are on the website. You drop us a request that this is what you would like to do, and we start the process. Our team handles requests very efficiently, so we get back to your request within a few hours at most. Within 30 minutes is our commitment, but sometimes it does take some time. So to start the process, it does not take much time at all. You get on the call with us, we take your information down, we get something called pre-approval. Pre-approval is basically a process which kind of guarantees the account. We take your documentation, we visit different banks, and we check with them exactly which bank can open it the fastest in order to provide a very efficient process to you. After this is done, we get you to come into the UAE to do the signatures as per your convenience. Definitely, this depends on you. How soon you need the account also depends on you. So we can get you in and out of the country ASAP, get the signatures done. We only need you in the country for 1 day maximum. You inform us of the date that you will be coming in. We get the signatures done. You leave, and the account can take anywhere between 2 to 3 working weeks. That is 14 to 21 working days in order to get open. I understand that this might come as a shock to a lot of you because obviously in our home countries and in other European countries in the MENA region, it's extremely fast. The thing is, the UAE has layered compliance teams. What I mean by this is that there is a normal compliance, and there might be a Sharia compliance team, depending on which bank we apply to. There might also be group compliance. So these type of cases might take a little bit of time, which is again why I mentioned that we need you here in the UAE to get all the signatures, all the documentation, all the information we need in one go, so you will not be inconvenienced. And in order to get the debit card, you will just have to make one more trip whenever that's at your convenience. So it's not like you need to collect it immediately after account opening. You can collect it later on. You can request the bank when you will be coming, and the bank will handle it for you. And the main thing is that the sooner you contact us, the sooner we get the pre-approval done, and the sooner we can check for the documentation. Obviously, when you submit the documents to us, it's not necessary that everything will be right in one go, or it's not necessary that the bank will only ask for these. These are the onboarding documents. The bank might ask for supporting documents. The bank might ask for alternate bank statements, mainly if it's from a sanctioned bank, I would say. The bank might also ask for more proof of funds. Any sort of investments you have in any other countries might come in handy at this time. So it's not a very long procedure, definitely. And us at Dhanguard, we definitely push the cases for our clients because we understand that the reason that they're approaching us is because they're on a time crunch. They need to get these things done as soon as possible. So this is definitely something that we can speed up efficiently. There are a lot of questions, which is good. I mean, if you guys have any other questions as well, you can put it down in the comments and I'll get back to you guys in the same live. Again, so there is a question which is minimum amount required to opening a non-resident account. The minimum amount required to opening a non-resident account does not exist, basically, because there is no lump sum figure which states basically that you need this much money to open a bank account, or the bank is not going to open it. It doesn't work that way, you know. The main thing that you need to understand is that you need to give a reason to the bank to open your account. Um, Understand that banks also are commercial enterprises and they work on the money cycle. So obviously, if you're giving the bank a reason to open the bank account, they will be more than happy to oblige. So I always tell my clients anywhere upwards of 25 to 50,000 dirhams, 25 to 50,000 dirhams, 50 is good enough amount to start. And this also does not mean that this money needs to be in the account 24/7, 365 days a year. No, it's just on a rotational basis. If you're able to maintain this type of amount, it will be a good boost to your case. So it's very important to understand again that justification needs to be given to the bank, and I would say also that the reason to open the bank account needs to be given to the bank. Okay, so any questions you guys have further, please drop them in the comments, so I will be able to get back to you guys. Any questions? We're ending towards the end of the live. So if you guys have anything you would like to know, anything regarding documentation or banking in general, please drop it now, so we can get it to it as soon as possible. Again, just to summarize everything that we have seen in the live today, what I have spoken about is the non-resident bank account. We at Dhanguard offer a 100% bank account opening guarantee. The documents required are passport copy, entry stamp, bank statement for the last 3 months. Just to reiterate on this, bank statement for the last of 3 months. If you're a salaried person, I need your pay slips. If you're a business owner, I need the business license and the business bank statement for the last 3 months. I also need a proof of residency, which would be in the form of utility bills and also in the form of a residential contract or the ownership documents of your house in your country of residence. Also, key points to highlight: you cannot do this remotely. We need your presence here in the UAE at least for 1 day in order to make sure that everything is done as fast as possible. After this, you can travel out. We don't need your presence after the signatures. Account will be open. All communication will be done to you via email and phone. And secondly, there is no minimum balance or a minimum amount to deposit in the account. It just completely depends on how much you're comfortable and what exactly is your capability. So to sum it up, please do contact us on Instagram, Facebook. We're on YouTube as well. You can always leave a comment on our videos. You can also go on our website, which is www.dhanguard.com, and reach us on the contact us page. Our phone cards and our emails are attached on there. You can always drop us a request and we will get our very much talented team to get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you so much for joining us today. And again, if there is anything that you guys want to ask, please do go ahead in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer.